Welcome to episode 68 of Canes Local. Today we'll wrap on round 2 of the NHL playoffs, look ahead to the conference finals, and much more coming up next. All right, so let's take a peek at Canes Capitals round 2. Thoughts on unexpected results, expected results. What's the thoughts on that series?
Well, I think it kind of depends on who you ask. For me, I mean, there's a lot of noise around, people saying the Canes haven't played a real opponent yet, but yet all the experts and everybody had the Caps winning that series in, 5, 6, or 7. So, I'm people saying that, well, the Caps were frauds to begin with. It's like, okay, well, then why'd you pick them? Why aren't you picking the Canes to win that series then? Why aren't you picking them to sweep? Like, there's a lot of that going around, but it's fine. I would prefer the Canes to stay underdogs in every series from here on out.
Yeah,
seems to be working. Every time they're the front runner, they tend to it tends to blow up in their face. So I will gladly take them as the underdog in every series for sure.
Yeah, no, I think the same thing. I think they're I hate people that come back and and they kind of go back on how they predict and what they predict and how they predict. And it's like, okay. So, I stand by my predictions that I believe the Canes are going to win. And it's for a lot of reasons. I think we're just, the Capitals are a good team, but they're older. They're not Florida. I can tell you that right now. So
yeah, they weren't nearly as physical.
No, they weren't. So they didn't play. We just out. I mean, you can't hit what you can't catch. So I think from my standpoint, we outworked them, we outskated them, top to bottom. Then we finally broke through, I think, in Game 3 on Thompson, and once that floodgate opened, then I knew it was going to be pretty tough road for them to come back after putting up a 4 spot. I can't remember if it was Game 3 or Game 4, but yeah, no, I knew they were going to do it. So, I mean, that's all that really matters. But at the same time, there's so many people out there that they make these predictions and, to what basis? I mean, so it is what it is. And they're going, their tee times are tomorrow, and then we're playing tomorrow. So we'll hopefully, forge ahead for the Hurricanes.
Boys, it's just the most boring team.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why you guys are getting
a bunch of jerks. They're just boring. I can't believe somebody had to come up with a T-shirt out.
It's fine. Hey,
I'll take it.
All I'm gonna say to the Canes universe is just, if we're boring, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
We're winning. I don't really care. I'll play the most boring hockey in the world. That's fine. If we're winning hockey games, if we have a chance that we're in the Eastern Conference Finals, who can't say that? 28 other teams. My math might be off. I'm not sure. I haven't counted, but 28 other teams aren't sitting here in the conference finals. So it's boring. That's fine. You don't have to watch. But we're going to keep going. We're going to keep rolling. And I have quiet confidence in this upcoming series. But in that Canes Cap series, Capitals, not as physical as I expected them to be. I was expecting them to come out with way more physicality, especially i.e. Tom Wilson. I think he got to it really in game 3, I would say.
He was he was a menace when they won Game 2.
He was crazy.
Yeah, he was really good. He was a big part of why they won.
I wouldn't be surprised if in that game he got dinged up somewhere. I think that game he wasn't quite the same in the series. While he was still very effective, and I think he's their best player on that team, and that's high praise because they have Alexander Ovechkin, and he, again, greatest goal scorer of all time, not the greatest player, not even in my top probably 25, but like Tom Wilson, that dude's a player. And you know what? I have more respect for him because he could have, when the series was over, he could have done something stupid. He could have gone out there and run around and granted it was a 1-goal game up until, 3 minutes left in the third period of Game 5. But after that point, when we scored that empty netter, they could have sent Tom Wilson onto the ice and he could have done something stupid. I'm pretty sure he was on the ice. And maybe he took a run at a guy, but it was in the play. It was like in the effect of the play. It wasn't just to take a run at a guy. And I commend him for that portion of it. I respected his game. His game, I think, to me, since to take a bigger role on this team, he's really taken a step away from the really towing the line. I feel like he plays very inside of the lines now. While yes, he's still a menace and you don't want to get hit by him. I feel like every one of his hits, he's not jumping at guys anymore. He's not like elbowing them or anything like that. Like he's hitting them hard as shit, but he's hitting them clean. Like my respect for him went through the roof in that one. But you want to talk about who my respect went for the roof? Andre Svechnikov. We need to talk about this gentleman because he is second in the playoffs in scoring right now. He's only behind Mikko Rantanen. And my goodness, where has this Svechnikov come from? And then on top of that, is this the superstar that we've been missing? It's just been here the whole time. He just hasn't taken that step. And now all of a sudden, the only guy he's behind right now was the quote-unquote biggest trade we've made, the superstar Carolina never had in Mikko Rantanen. And he's only behind him in goals. Like what a step forward for Andrei Svechnikov.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought the last game he and again I said this from the get-go, he didn't have a great regular season for the most part. I think he was just trying to get to the playoffs. He's like, man, I'm not missing this shit again. So but yeah, I agree that he's elevated his game, and I think moving him up to that on that top line, I think has done a world of good for him. It's given him that opportunity to get on the alongside Aho again. And in the last game, I thought he started the game a little bit slow. I thought he just kind of paced himself, but man, he took off after the second half of the game. And I thought, like I said, I thought he was super effective. And we're going to need him. We said it. I think all three of us said it at the beginning of the playoffs and heading into the playoffs, that in order for us to be successful in the playoffs, we need Andrei Svechnikov to be going, and he's going right now. So, really excited for him because he's such a great teammate, and we need him to be that kind of player.
Yeah, he needs to continue to do what he's doing, because again, we ran into this issue 2 years ago with Bob in the Eastern Conference Final, and all those games were tight. And if you can get that extra goal, that Svech can provide, that's the difference. And, obviously a lot of people are picking the Florida to win, which I understand. Defending Stanley Cup champs. Bob's looks like he kind of
into the playoffs.
Last 2 years of the finals. So,
that's, like last 2 years of the final. Just this, if they, obviously it's kind of something to behold for them, especially it's, they're playing a lot of hockey in the past 3 years. So the fact that they're still doing it, and again, I'm not taking away, because I don't want to take away from how hard they had to fight to come back in that Toronto series. They definitely, that Toronto team is really good. Like, they are really good.
They're getting torched by their media.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite unfair, to be honest.
I don't know if it's,
I get it. I get why they are, but that was a different team.
I don't know if it's unfair, but I think the Czech was on the Spit and Chicklets podcast this morning and basically talked about, like, if you took that team, that coach, like the whole player base, and you threw them in Anaheim, they're probably winning the cup.
mm-hmm.
He said, if you took all those players and you threw them in another team, they're probably beating a lot, because there's no pressure.
Yeah.
Like if you're the Ducks, there's no pressure to win. Yeah, you got, obviously the hockey fans, but literally everyone in the province of Ontario is talking about the Leafs. Probably almost all of Canada.
I would say it's probably all of Canada at this point. Yeah.
And then parts of the U.S.
The entire
as well.
nation.
Like they live in this pressure cooker that, obviously, pressure is one thing, but being able to have room to be able to make mistakes. And I know they've been there for 9 years, and it's been, they've only won 2 playoff series. Like, I get that. And I'm saying that, do they need to be better? Obviously, they aren't built well enough to actually close out a series against, a cup winner. They can't do it. They haven't been able to do it. So, look, they're a really good team, but again, at this point in the year, you can't count anybody out. No team whatsoever. Like everybody's going to give it their all, even if. And this is, again, I don't believe the Canes will get swept. I believe they're going to win this series, but I don't believe the Cats are going to get swept either. I think it's going to, like, even though the Cats played the 7-game series against Toronto, I think this one goes 6 or 7. Like, I really do. This is going to be a fight. It's going to have to be.
Yeah.
Because this is definitely going to be I think whoever wins the series wins the cup.
I would.
And I believe the Canes are going to win the
agree with
series,
you.
but I really think whoever wins it wins the cup this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, I guess let's take a look at since we're bouncing on to Toronto, Florida. I guess there's anything else we want to add to that series, because it was a tale of, they started slow, Florida. And I think to your point earlier, Kyle, you made offline, but it's like when Toronto was going, they were hard to contain. They were hard to they made it hard for Florida. And but when Toronto didn't compete, which there was 2 games were absolute train wrecks, and Florida just was all over them. And I think that was the difference in the series, is that, Florida didn't take any games off, I don't believe, but Toronto did. And I think that's telltale of the team that somehow they got to fix that, and they're getting closer. But I don't feel bad for them. But
No.
at the same time, I don't know who I'd prefer, and we'll talk about that coming up a little bit, and who I would have preferred in either Toronto or Florida as the next opponent. So, but good on Florida. They're the Stanley Cup champs from 2 years ago, and so they're the real deal.
Last year.
Yeah. No, they are. They've been in the cup
they
final
won
the
the cup
last 2
last year.
years, but yeah.
Yeah, they've been in the cup final
Sorry,
last 2 years.
Last year
They're
they
defending
won
Stanley
it.
Cup
Yeah,
champions
my
currently.
apologies.
Yes. No. But the final thing I want to add with this series is, was Anthony Stolarz healthy for Game 7?
He was on the
Wasn't he
bench.
on the
Yeah.
He's
bench?
on the bench. I doubt he was like 100%.
Yeah.
Obviously, but
He would have
I know.
played
I'm
if
just
he was
like,
100%. And
I think so too.
they obviously.
Well, you never know. Woll coming off a shutout,
I mean, it's yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it was because Woll came off a shutout that they decided to go with Woll again? Which to be fair, I would probably do the same thing. But like, that's a tough decision. I didn't know if he was healthy or not. I didn't know if that was like, if he came out that he could have played. I'm assuming he could have played because if Woll got hurt.
Yeah,
he
I guess the way
But-
they look at it is that Game 7, 80% Anthony Stolarz is better than 100% Matt Murray. I guess at this point, that's the way they looked at it. So if Woll had to come out
that
for
backup
injury,
position, yeah.
if he had to come for injury, I guess they figured, he'd be the better option of the two. So, but I don't think he was fully healthy, honestly. And again, maybe he did play because he got the shutout. And I thought he was their best player in the first period. He had to be. I mean, because
he was the best player in the game.
Nobody else was doing anything.
Even the goals that went in. Yeah, he had to be, because even the goals that went in, it was like not much he can do. There was not very many leaky goals that he let up. Yeah, he let up a lot of them, but it wasn't like their goals he probably should go.
The only
in.
one is probably
he
the
didn't
fourth
save
one.
any. He shouldn't have.
That's about that.
Yeah.
The one that it's kind of one of those where it's like, yeah, it's a good tip, but like you gotta have it. You know, it's one of those where we talk about
what I'm saying.
you gotta have. Like they just scored.
They just scored.
3-1,
yeah.
And you can't let a fourth one in that quick. You just can't do it. I don't care how much you got to bend over backwards, but
what I'm getting at is more like he saved everything he should have. In the grand scheme of things, he didn't get the save he shouldn't have, which that's what makes an elite, a top level goaltender. But I guess, does Stolarz give you that
don't know.
it factor? I don't know. I don't know if it's that much different. So it's like, even if he was 100% ready to go, is it like are you guaranteed you're going to get a better performance out of Stolarz? You don't know. You hadn't seen him at all in the series, really. I mean, you saw him in, I guess, Game 1, but he got shelled as well too, kind of in his own way.
Yeah.
But
Let's move off that one.
That
so let's head
series.
out west and talk a little bit about these two series. I'm really shocked on, honestly, the Edmonton Vegas series. That one shocked the hell out of me.
That did too. Shocked me as well.
I thought it was going to be a much more competitive series. But again, bet against the two-headed monster in Edmonton. I mean, they're so dynamic, and you are getting contributions from a lot of other players, and goaltending I thought played really well. I mean, well enough, I guess.
Stuart Skinner, I thought, was one of the better players
he
on
had
the
a
team for the
shaky
majority.
he had a shaky return to the net, but I think after that he was
two
really
games
good,
especially.
Yeah, he was really good. So, but it shocked the hell out of me that Vegas didn't put up more of a fight than they did.
Just kind of just rolled over and died.
They did,
kind of like Washington.
Yeah,
they kind of just looked old and slow, and didn't look like they were.
Absolutely,
didn't look like they were in it at all. Honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, that one was interesting.
Yeah,
it's a. I don't love the way that the team is built, obviously, but again, they keep winning. So at a certain point, maybe teams look around the league, especially if they make it past Dallas too. I mean, that's going to be impressive because I think out of all the opponents they've faced, Dallas is definitely going to be the best one. For sure. I thought, I didn't realize that Vegas was not as good as they were, kind of thing. Like I honestly thought they were better.
Or
LA.
Or we're gonna see that if for some reason Edmonton decides to go over and roll Dallas as well too, maybe this Edmonton team is just insane.
Yeah, maybe they're just that
because
team.
I mean, we've looked at both this LA team and this Vegas. They're good hockey teams. Now, granted, I don't think that's exactly how it is, because if you go back and look at Vegas in the Minnesota series, I don't think Vegas was that strong this year. I think Hurdle didn't have the goal scoring that he needed to have. Eichel wasn't as effective as he could have been. Pietrangelo wasn't as effective. They didn't get the goaltending they needed to. So, I don't necessarily think that that's the case. But in the same token, if Edmonton comes out and rolls Dallas in 5 games, it's hard to say that they're not just maybe Vegas played really well and Edmonton is just that
maybe
good
they're just that good.
Because the main thing they were missing was depth scoring, and now all of a sudden they're scoring at will in the depths. It's you're gonna have to, if you're gonna beat Edmonton, you're gonna have to score 7 goals in a couple of games. You're gonna have to score a lot.
Yeah.
Or your goalie's going to have
to
play.
Or your goalie's going to have to be exceptional. And I think it's funny. I watched a handful of the Edmonton games, and when you watch them play, they don't get, how do I want to say that? I don't really know how I want to phrase this, but they don't get really shaken easily. They go down by 2 or 3 goals, and then it's okay. Kind of reminds me of the game. I don't remember if it was game 3 or 4. Oh, it was game 5. Sorry, again with the New Jersey series, we were down 3-0. I mean, so the construct of our team, the way our psyche is from the player perspective, I think it parallels the Oilers. Quite honestly, we obviously don't have McDavid, or if we don't have a Draisaitl.
We do it in very different ways, but I get what you're saying.
So,
the mentality
I think
is
we
very similar.
We could process the game like that, and Edmonton does it as good as anybody in processing and making adjustments and changing how the game works to your favor. And they did it against LA. They did it against Vegas, and to be determined if they do it against Dallas. But Dallas is Dallas, man. They're strong. I watched that. I watched the last game.
I was gonna say, a little bit of a counterpoint to your point, though, Dad. I think every team that's still in the playoffs has very much that mentality, because Dallas has come back from multi-goal deficits. So has Florida as well too. So both those teams, it's very no matter who you come up against, the further you get into playoffs, it's winners. You're playing against winners. And yes, not everybody wins the trophy at the end of the year, the jug. Only one team gets it. So there's 31 losers every single year. And I'll tell you what, you get to this point of the season, these teams, they know how to win hockey games. The mentality is very strong in this factor. So while yes, I agree, Carolina has that. So does Florida.
Yeah.
So
Now that you say it,
it
doesn't make sense. The Final Four here, because Toronto didn't have it, Washington didn't have it. And Vegas didn't have it, and and that's the reality of it. I think the only team that maybe had it was Winnipeg, but even them, they didn't play to their potential.
Their goaltending let them down.
Yeah.
like Hellebuck really
the team
struggled,
had
man.
it. I think Connor struggled heavily,
especially on the road.
Agreed. But I think
Like Game 7, he played really well.
I think he
played really, really well.
Game 6.
Yeah, Game 6.
Yeah, Game 6.
Yeah.
He did play very well, but I think he got over it. Yeah, I think Winnipeg next year. I might do a little futures bet on them for once. Like I wouldn't be shocked if all of a sudden Connor Hellebuck, because like in that Game 6, he was their best player. He was the best player on the ice outside of Jake Ottinger. He was the only other player on that ice that was like better. But like, I think he got over the hump a little bit in that regard. Now it still remains to be seen. But the second round, outside of every other game on the road that they played, so game 3 and 4, I thought Connor Hellebuck looked good. So I'm like, I have hopes for him in Winnipeg. I feel like he might be good.
Well, you don't know, but they're going home this year, but we'll see what they do next year. But I thought Dallas looked Dallas looked really good. So that's going to be a tough test for Edmonton, but again, they're just showing everybody that they are the real deal, and I'd be afraid to play them right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, sorry. One thing I just completely remembered, so I'm going to bring it up right now, or else I'm going to forget it again. Did you guys see the video of the Toronto fans after Game 5 or Game 6 in Florida when they pushed it to 7? They were outside of the Scotiabank, whatever it is, going, "We want the Canes. We want the Canes." Like, dude, you haven't even what you thought.
Yeah.
It's like, you haven't won a Game 7 in 7 years. That's what you're going to go with?
No.
No.
That's
just jinx the team out.
Toronto fans are they're a different breed. So I mean, it's kind of like they're insane. So anyway,
that's
okay.
It,
so let's move away from round 2 and head into what's really important. Is the Eastern Conference Final. So Canes, man, I tell you, I honestly, when this season started, I would not have said we were in this spot given the roster we had going into the season. I'll be the first to admit it. I would not have expected this. But man, I tell you, Rod and the GM, they've done an exceptional job putting together the right pieces, building for the future, and continuing to bolster, draft picks and prospects and Freddie's, knock on wood, man, Freddie's playing out of his mind good right now. And, the recipe is there. And, somebody said it, I don't remember what podcast I watched this morning, but one of the guys came on and he said, you don't have to have the best team. You just have to have the right team. He says, you have to have the right team to win it. He says, because look at the 2019 St. Louis Blues, or 2018. I can't remember. I mean, look at that
19.
team. They didn't have a superstar. They didn't have, a whole, they had Binnington in that, but they didn't have
Tarasenko.
They didn't have all those elite, pieces. They just had the right pieces. And I think adding guys like Taylor Hall, adding guys like Stan Coven, and, adding guys in the offseason like Sean Walker and Gostisbehere, even as much as we harp on Gostisbehere, I thought he's really starting to elevate and get back to his game again. So, man, I tell you, it just feels so right now. And I just hope they keep pushing the page forward, because they're writing a story that nobody expected them to write this year.
I feel like it's different too than 2 years ago. I do. Just because they've been in this situation before with most of the core guys. Unfortunately, last time they were in it, they didn't have Svechnikov because he was out with an ACL tear. So, and obviously, Freddie played exceptional 2 years ago. It's just the Canes couldn't score. They just couldn't score. They couldn't put the puck in the net. Every game was 1-0, 2-1, like overtime. There was 2 overtime games in that.
Yeah,
series,
game 3.
Well,
Game 1 was the longest
overtime
game,
games.
almost one of the longest games in NHL history. Like game 1 went to triple overtime, I think.
Yeah.
And then, But again, it feels different. I feel like everybody just seems the plug and play is definitely in effect this year, where even the guys that are coming in, Roslovic comes in, doesn't miss a beat when Jankowski goes down. Nikishin, I thought, played pretty well. For it being his first game ever in the NHL, I thought he played pretty well. So you could definitely see how his size and his ability to read the game is elite. So you can definitely see all that. So you just hope it works out. Yeah, I mean, it all starts with one. I think obviously, jumping too far ahead of myself, but if we get to, the end of the night Thursday and the Canes have a 2-0 series lead because they can't lose at home, I mean, I don't know how Florida wins 4 of the next 5. Like, realistically. Like, if the Canes can hold home ice, they win. But if you're Florida knows they have to either win both on the road or they have to split. They have to. I know, they said the same thing about, Toronto last series. They lost both on the road against Toronto. Toronto was up 2-0 in the series, but the Canes ain't Toronto, man. I promise you.
Nope.
They're not letting go of a 2-0 series lead. I promise. So if they hold home ice in the first 2 games, they got a lot to look forward to. That's for sure. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Florida's definitely at a disadvantage, I believe, because they just got off a 7 game. They have 1 day's rest and they're right back on the ice tomorrow. So I think the first period, the Canes are going to struggle.
Yep.
And Florida's going to kind of come out, and Canes just need Fred to stand tall in the first. But I think after the first, it'll all kind of settle in. So assuming that the first period, if they can end in the first period in the tie, I think we're looking all right.
Yeah, I think the first 10 minutes are going to be critical.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think while yes, the first 10 minutes are going to be critical, I genuinely think Carolina is going to have absolute jam from
I hope
puck
so.
drop. I think
That'd be amazing.
I think game 1. No, I genuinely think game 1 is going to be the most jam we've seen out of the Carolina Hurricanes all season.
We had this. We've had the same break.
I think they are going.
We've had the same break as the Washington series, so it's the same time off. It's the same thing. It's just rinse and repeat. So I agree. And the first game against Washington was crazy.
Yes, first game against Washington was crazy, but I'm taking it from the mindset of, if I'm a Carolina Hurricanes player, the only thing I've thought about for the past 2 seasons has been that Florida loss 4 in a row. That is the only thing, and they are the only thing that held me back from going to the Stanley Cup Finals. And that season they ended up winning the Stanley Cup Final. Like last season they didn't lose last season. It was the year before, and they ended up losing. So never mind. But that was the only thing that stopped them from getting to that finals was Florida. And it was a tight series, and the only thing that we weren't ready to go puck drop. We always struggled a little bit to get into the game, and we allowed Florida to build their games in game 1 and game 2, and that's what ended up leading to the overtimes and the longer games and everything. But they are going to be so hungry and so ready to go. The other thing I love about this team is I almost love that we don't have a superstar, or like a quote unquote superstar. I know what it like, but it just feels like everybody is like they're bought in to the same system because they don't have to worry about their cookies. They know things are going to happen through the system. But like, this is the most bought in team we've seen in a long time. Even you go back 2 years ago, that we were missing Svechnikov. We brought him some guys like Gensel at the deadline. We had added a couple other pieces at the deadline as well too. It was the first time we added Shane Gostisbehere at the deadline. I don't think he ever really got fully adjusted as well too. So I think that this team is different. I'm with you, Cam, because while we did add stuff at the deadline, we added the correct pieces. And while Gensel was the correct piece, I felt like Ghost the first time around, it's hard to add a defenseman into a completely different system. I forget we added somebody else, and I didn't think they really were. Oh, yeah. Evgeny Kuznetsov, I'm pretty sure we added that year as well.
Your Gensel and Kuznetsov were both last year. You're thinking last year.
They weren't last year.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
Gensel wasn't last year, was he?
Yeah, because he signed as a free agent this summer.
Never mind,
because he signed a free agent summer with
having
Tampa.
that Florida. Why?
They definitely signed Ghost for that playoff run. They got
that
him,
was Ghost. Or who
they
else
got him
was
out
that?
of. I think he was in Arizona. I think they got him out of there. I don't even know who they added. No, they didn't. That was the year they didn't add anybody at the deadline because that was the meme. The Don Waddell.
Oh, yeah, and then
was like,
Svech got hurt 2
we
days
like our
later.
team, and then
Yeah.
Svech got hurt. Literally the game after the trade deadline. So, yeah, that was fun. I mean, I don't blame Don though. I mean,
excuse
when
me.
you thought you had the guys, and then obviously the guy goes down, it's tough. So, it'll be interesting though with this series. I really do think this is going to be. I really think it's going to be team's going to hold home ice. I think it's going to be home hold on this one. And now I know the Canes played well on the road. They won a road game in each of their first two series.
Max. Sorry.
Oh, was it Max Domi?
Patrick. Yeah, Patrick. No, Pacioretty. We added Pacioretty. He only played 5 games.
Oh, yeah, and then he got hurt
and then
again.
the other pieces were Mackenzie McEachran, Jesse Puljujarvi, and Dylan Coughlin. But okay.
Yeah, not much.
Go on.
Give some depth, guys. But
No.
Bags of pucks.
Yeah, pretty much.
We had Paul Stasny as well too. That legend.
We had him. Yeah, him and Derek Stepan as well. We've had both
He's
those
on our
guys.
fourth line.
Those guys were awesome, man.
Mhm. All right. Sorry, I completely got off track.
Yeah. I don't know where we
Where were
were. Thanks a lot, man. You screwed us all up. So.
And just talking about that, I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
sorry.
it does feel different
My
though.
bad.
This whole team, it definitely feels different. I feel like
Yes.
there's just nobody has any doubt. There's no doubts, and I think even if they drop game 1, which I highly doubt they will, but if they drop game 1, it's just going to be because of Bobrovsky, because I think the effort's definitely going to be there. I think the jump's going to be there. It's just a matter of if they can score at least 3, I think they can win the game. I just think Freddie's playing well enough now that I think it's kind of a you know what you're going to get out of him, assuming he's healthy.
Yeah.
So again, it's going to be good. I'm really excited. I have a very good feeling versus 2 years ago. With Florida being such a big underdog 2 years ago. I mean, they were just nobody thought they weren't even in playoffs the last couple of days, and they made it in, beat Boston in 7. They ended up making it
Last day.
That's what I mean. Like,
It was the last game of the season. They won.
so again, it helps to be
against Carolina.
it helps to be an underdog. It really does.
It does.
Because then it's like all the pressure's on Florida.
Yeah.
It really is.
Because I smiled today. I looked across the NHL and all the staff writers and everybody did their predictions, and 13 of 16 staff writers had Florida beating the Canes, and I'm like, I just smiled. I said, good. I said, good. That's exactly what it needs to look like. Because, this is a team that feels different, and kind of like the year they won the cup. It's like that wasn't a team of superstars. It was just, like I said, I'll say it from earlier. It's just the right team. It's the right group of players, and they're playing with the right mentality, and they're playing for each other. And there doesn't seem to be any bit of ego on this team, and it's great. I'm sure there is. There has to be. Players have to be have a big ego, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like that. It doesn't feel like that. And this is one unit that is about as tight as I think I've ever seen in my hockey lifetime. So hoping, and we're going to send good thoughts and send prayers and send everything that everybody starts on time and comes out of the gate, because we got to get to Bob early. We have to make his life miserable. We have to funnel pucks to the net. We have to get in his crease. We may take a penalty or two, but who cares? We got to do it. We got the World League's best penalty kill. We can take a risk. We just got to shake him up. And I think that's going to be the difference, is getting in front of him, creating traffic, and making him track pucks. Because when he can't see it, he's like any goal. I mean, if you gotta work too hard and you see, 800 shot attempts, it's going to fatigue you. You're going to get tired. He's just coming off a 7-game series. So that'll be interesting to see, but I think getting to him early is going to be important.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. I think goaltending is going to decide this series. So whether it's Freddie or it's Bob, I think it's going to be 1-goal games every single game, and I think it's going to go 7. So that's going to be. I'm taking Canes in 7. I guess we'll go right into kind of the predictions after the series talk, and then I'll give you the score update after at the end here. But I'm going to take Canes in 7.
Yeah,
that's
I'm going the same because I think it's going to go the distance. I think it can't. I don't see a world where it doesn't go the distance because of who Florida is and how they play. I just don't see it happening. It's going to be a much better version of Washington, a much more physical version of Washington, a much faster version of Washington, and it's just going to be a harder series all the way around, top to bottom. So, but I still think the Canes I think they'll take it. I mean, I don't think I'd go against them at this point. The way I feel about the way this team looks.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take Canes in 6. I think they can steal one on the road. I really do. I think they hold serve at home, and I really think they can take one on the road, whether it's game 3, 4, or 6. Like, I just think they have shown that they can create desperation, and it's funny too because like even the series or the like the run 2 years ago in 2023, they couldn't win on the road. They literally didn't win on the road. They won every game at home. They had home ice advantage, which was great. And as soon as they lost
2 7-round series to get
as
there.
soon as they lost that first game in game 1 at home, I said it's over. Like they can't win on the road. They are completely different now. I mean, they are in every road game. They're dominant at home, and then they're really putting the clamps on them on the road, which is good. That's what you want to see.
Yeah,
and
I agree, and I think
especially against I
think it has to do with the depth in the lineup. I think the having 4 lines, you can almost roll, and your 4th line can play meaningful minutes against their best players. I think it is the case, and I think that's the difference we're seeing now and why the road factor is so different is we have that opportunity to put anybody out there at any given time. And that's sort of the way Washington was. They did the same thing. But we were obviously a lot more effective against it. But I think that's the reason. And that's why I feel differently about this group is I completely agree with you that this team feels different from we couldn't win on the road and we're going to win on the road. Whether or not it's this series or the next series, but we're going to win on the road again. So
the one major thing that I've noticed with road games that I think has been very effective is Rod is learning and he's double shifting Slavin and Burns. And can we give a little 2 taps for Brent Burns so far in this playoffs
really well.
because he has been immense. He's had a couple blunders here and there, but my goodness, it has been so far and few between that I've almost actually enjoyed watching him play again. We're to that point where it's fun watching.
I think he's just
play, but it's in a completely.
He's just giving it everything, man.
He's giving it everything.
I really do. I think it's just so different.
I think he knows. I think he knows he's not re-signing here in the off season. So I think that there's this. Hey, this is my chance here because if he wants money and to guaranteed play time, he's got to have to go to a little bit of a lesser quality team in order to guarantee the play time to keep the streak going. But as of right now, he's kind of probably in this crossroad where while Rod wants to keep him and it would play him if he's here, but Tulski's hey, I got 2 guys that need to come up and need to play. So I think Burns realizes that, and he's like, this is my chance. I got to make it everything. But he's doing it in a way where he's still not that effective offensively. He's been better. He's been more effective at getting pucks through and not just throwing everything at the net. I've actually noticed him making some plays, which is beautiful to see. But he's been stellar defensively. I think he's actually been a big reason as to why we've been so good on the road is because you can throw Jacob Slavin and Brent Burns out there, and they've been it's not just been Jacob Slavin. It's been Brent Burns as well. And you know what that also has freed up? Jacob Slavin to be more offensive. He's getting points on the boards because he's got a competent partner in Brent Burns right now who's playing competent defensive hockey. I love the pairing, and Rod's putting them out there consistently. And it's not a let's roll all our D pairs so we don't get tired. No, it's hey, Burns, Slavin, you're playing 35 tonight. You're going to play a lot of minutes tonight.
Well, you can do that now. You have to do that now because there's not an 82 game season in front of you. And there's
maximum 14 left.
There's 8 more wins ahead of you.
But I'm saying this is a difference
Yeah,
from
agreed,
last
agreed.
playoffs where Rod was still trying to roll those lines. And yes, Brent Burns wasn't playing the same level, and a lot of guys are stepping up their games. But I think the Rod putting out that pairing consistently on the road, especially in the second period, knowing a long change. In the last game of Game 5, I'm pretty sure they played like 10 and a half minutes in the second period. They played like half of the second period.
Yeah.
But that's an adjustment a coach needs to make in the middle of his game to be like, I need these guys out there consistently, and then I can rest them a little bit more in the third. And they didn't play that much in the first period because of that reason.
Yeah.
But I just, Rod is making adjustments, and I'm happy to see that. Yes, the line combination, stuff like that, maybe not so much, but he's making in-game adjustments. It's good to see. That's a positive thing to see, and it's been effective. I think he outcoached Carberry, and he outcoached Keefe.
No, I agree with you. I
think the
agree with
team
you.
did a lot,
Yep.
but
So we got Canes in 6, I'm in 7, and
Cam's in
and
6.
you and I are in
7
7 games for the Hurricanes. So we'll see game 1 tomorrow night. So I don't know if they give a time yet or not. 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
8.
8 o'clock.
All the games are
every
8.
game's 8 o'clock except for one Edmonton game that I think's at 7.
So it's gonna be a late night
Oh,
tomorrow.
well, I'm talking about the
could be
Eastern
wrong.
Conference. All of them are at 8.
Yeah.
Every game is at 8. They've
Yes,
come out with a
every game
schedule
is at 8.
and it's every game's at 8 o'clock. I don't know why the 8 o'clock start time. It doesn't really make much sense to me, honestly. I don't get it.
Because
But
then it's 6 o'clock East
West-
Coast time, or 5 o'clock East Coast
West
time,
Coast,
or West
yeah,
Coast
maybe.
time. They're trying to get more eyes. Because if
Sure.
not, if 7 o'clock start, it's 4 o'clock. So that means that people aren't getting home until the
I mean,
second
but people are
period.
still watching. Like if they're
Yeah,
gonna
wait
watch,
till
they're
the
gonna
second.
watch. You know what I mean?
I would say that's true.
You can't. Yes, you're not supposed to watch while driving.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
clear
yeah,
that in the
but-
air. Don't be watching while
So
driving.
anyways, tomorrow night, puck drop. I guess 8 o'clock. So we'll see. We'll see after tomorrow night how the Canes.
Actually, be like 8:27. So
Yes,
Yeah,
man,
exactly.
I'd say it's gonna be
It's gonna
11
take 'em
o'clock.
45
It's gonna be
minutes to get the
midnight
game
before I get home
going.
tomorrow night. So
Yeah, well,
golly.
but
I
Are you
am.
going to the
Yeah.
game?
Yeah. So
Oh,
I got
nice.
I got the early call. So we'll,
well, there you go.
Oh, there you got some
Yeah.
prep time. You
Yeah.
can get drunk
Oh,
now.
man.
Just keep
Yeah.
it going all night. Just go through
It'll
the
be a rough day
get it
tomorrow.
prepped
yeah,
up
it's
for
gonna
you.
be a tough one in preparation for tomorrow. So anyway, so I guess we'll let's take a quick look at the other series. I don't want get too deep into it, but Edmonton, Dallas. Gosh, I don't. It's really hard to bet against Edmonton the way they've been playing and taking over these series. But I don't know. I still have more faith in Jake Ottinger than I do Stuart Skinner. That I think he can outlive and outwork and outplay the two-headed monster in McDavid and Draisaitl. So, Dallas is good. They're good top to bottom. They got a lot of depth and they're good defensively. They're a good defensive core. But Jake Ottinger's just been playing exceptionally well. So, I'm gonna.
Miro
Yeah, I
Heiskanen
know, so-
back as well too.
I have a hard time betting against them. So, I think I'm still going to stick with the Dallas Stars to go on. And I hate it because I wanted to see Winnipeg, get through. And not that I'm Mikko Rantanen hater, but really, really didn't want to see him go through. Quite honestly, So, but at the end of the day, I think Dallas is going to win. I think they're going to take the series.
Hey, both teams are winning out of that situation. Let me just say that. Dallas got
No,
better.
I
Carolina got
agree. I
better,
agree.
so.
I think I just don't like the way it all played out. Anyway, so we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get too deep into that. So,
I don't disagree.
but I'm going to go Dallas. I'm going to go Dallas in 6. I think that's the way it's going to round out for them, and I think they're going to head back. I think Pete DeBoer. I love Pete DeBoer, so I'm pulling for Dallas because of Pete DeBoer, but that's the only reason because I think he's an exceptional coach, and I'd love to see him. Get success. Unfortunately, if we're up against him, I want him to have the worst week of his life. So, but I'm going Dallas in 6.
Yeah, it's again. I've pretty much bet against Edmonton every single series. I haven't picked them to win a series, and I want them to win this series genuinely. So I'm going Stars in 5. So that's my logic. I've bet against them every other time, and
I love
they've
it.
cooked me up. So I'm going Stars in 5. I really hope they win.
Dallas and 5, I like it. Yeah, I think it's going to be an 06 rematch. I think it's going to be Edmonton, Carolina in the finals yet again. I think we're going to break Edmonton's heart yet again. But I think it's going to be an Edmonton Carolina finals. In all seriousness, I can't bet against the two guys. I can't do it. Like they're so good.
If they get
like
any sort of
and the
confident
crazy part
goaltending,
is
they are moving on. Any sort. It could be a little bit.
And
it could be one
the
game.
The crazy part is, and Dad, I agree with you. I think Ottinger has been exceptional, but he, in all fairness, like Nate McKinnon, he played good, but he didn't have much like help. Like Edmonton's getting the help right now, and like I don't think McDavid and Draisaitl have even played their best hockey yet. Like they're not putting up the points they have in the past, and yeah, they haven't needed to. Like it come from depth, and that's what Edmonton wanted to see. But could you imagine if all of a sudden those guys just decide to go at? I mean, McDavid had 48 points last year in playoffs.
No,
like if he decides to go back to that pace, oh my goodness! Like this team just got so much better, and like I don't foresee a universe where all of a sudden in the Western Conference Finals, like unless Edmonton's up in the series, those two guys are going to be chomping at the bit to get back, knowing that they lost in the finals last year to Florida.
Is Mattias Ekholm coming back? Is he coming back into the lineup?
So at some point in this series, he will be back.
Yeah, he'd be a big ad for sure.
So, and in all honesty, their decor has been.
Yeah, they've been playing.
They have 4 shutouts.
Yeah,
I think,
I
throughout the
know.
playoffs
I get
so
that.
far.
I just but think about adding that layer to your depth. It just makes it that much more crazy.
I like I said, I agree. I
think he's genuinely the best.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So getting your best defenseman back never hurts.
It's not. Yeah, but it's not like they're playing like to the point where they're like, oh
no,
I
fully agree with you there. I'm 100% agreeing with you. I just think that taking that into account and adding it's like adding Miro Heiskanen to the Dallas lineup and adding Ekholm back to their lineup. It just makes them that much more dangerous on the defensive side because their 6'7" defenseman is playing elite at this point. So you have that depth. So you have that assurance that if somebody's gets dinged up, you got another guy that can go in and hit the ground running. So that's what I meant.
My question mark to you guys though is as this series starts going south for Edmonton, if it continues down the path that they're going right now, where it looks like they're going to win it in like 5 or 6, kind of like how this previous series have gone. If I'm Edmonton, I'm in no rush.
Oh no, I wouldn't either.
Like if he's 80%, I'd rather him be 90% at this point than getting him back. But if they're down 2 coming out of Dallas, we need Ekholm.
No, I agree.
Well, like if I'm Edmonton, I'm in no rush. It's not like we're even talking like hindering. Like I said, if it was like, oh, the team is just completely outscoring the other team, like our defensively we're still lackluster, we have no goaltending, which has happened at times in this playoff, but Stuart Skinner, back-to-back shutouts? Like, back-to-back shutouts, and then he wins the final game. Or, no, the final game was a 1-0 overtime win. Yeah. So, back-to-back shutouts for the guy. Like, if he's continues down that path, I'm sorry. I agree with you, Dad. Jake Ottinger is a hell of a goaltender, but I don't know if he's a hell of a goaltender against Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, well, we'll find out. So,
those guys are different.
So where do you go? You're going Edmonton and what, Kyle? Did you already say it? Sorry if I missed it.
I'm gonna go Edmonton. No, I didn't say. I'm gonna go in Edmonton in 6. I think they clean it up in 6.
So how are we doing, anyways? You tallied it all up, and how are?
Yes. So we will go from last to first. So Cam, unfortunately, you are at the bottom right now with 9 points.
Rough.
Dad, you're second with 10. And I am first with 15.
How did you what did you calculate?
I got
It's killing
3.
me.
Did you get?
What do you mean? What did I calculate?
That's kind of a
fix Edmonton, man.
That's a homer calculator over there.
I've taken Edmonton 2 series in a row.
Yeah,
man. I've been electric. Hold on.
I bet against them twice.
That is very helpful. So last round I had Canes in 5. Got that one right. That's 2 points. Also, I bet the exact games and everything. I said they were going to win game 1, lose game 2, win game 3, win game 4, win game 5. No, I know, but I'm just saying. I had Dallas in 6. What happened? Dallas in 6. I had Florida in 7. That happened. Florida in 7. And then I had Edmonton in 7. I thought that series was
Mhm.
going to go longer. So I still got Edmonton. So I had 2, 4, 6, 7 points in the second round. How you doing? Cleaning up. After the first round, it was 8, 7, 6 in the score total.
Okay.
So it was actually close after the first round.
All right.
And then it's gone
So
haywire since then.
what does Cameron have? 9?
He's got
Okay.
9
9.
points. So last series he had Carolina in 6, so only got 1 point there. Had Dallas in 5, only got a point there. Had had Florida in 6, only got 1 point there, and then had Vegas in 5. And then you had
I had the Leafs in
Leafs,
7.
which gave you 0 points, and then you got a point for every other. You got a point for
Okay.
every other series because you had 6. It's like Cam had Dallas in 7, not Dallas in 6 or 5. You had Dallas in 5. Anyways, but yeah, that is where the total stands.
Okay.
as of
Well,
right now.
we'll update later in the into the future.
It's not
that's
over
for
yet.
sure. So yeah, it's going to get.
Yeah,
we need
I'll
to
tell you
double
what,
the
if I
points
get-
here for the next round. So
Okay, we'll do
Yeah.
double points this round. This is the next round. This round is double points, and the finals
okay.
will be
Let's
triple
let's
points.
let's
We're gonna
agree.
say,
Let's
fuck it,
agree
just
to it
triple
now. I
Woll
think
win.
Yeah.
we mentioned that before, but I don't want to give you that because you'll be way far ahead of us again if second round is double points. So.
Yeah. Well, if I get both these series right, it's gonna
Yeah,
be
it'll
all
be,
Joe.
Yeah, it is going to be over.
Before you
Yeah,
get started.
exactly.
You'll win the Piston Cup for picking the playoffs. So.
Yep.
Anyway, so what else?
I'll get
What
my
else we got?
cookie.
If
That's
not, we'll close and wrap for the week. And hopefully come back talk about a.
Yeah. Let's wrap because my can to die.
So,
Well,
anyways,
there we go.
so that's a good
So-
reason to wrap there. So a little technical difficulty, but until next week, thanks everybody for listening. Those that have made it through, and we'll be back next week. So for Cam, Kyle, and myself, have a great week, and let's go Canes.